Hey everybody, good morning. How are you? It's so good to see you. Hope you're having a good day. I'm having a great day. It's a beautiful day out, really sunny, really hot again today. But thank you for joining me. I'm so happy to be able to spend this time with you. I know I don't usually stream on Tuesdays, but I'm starting this 100-day series of streaming where I'm going to try to just stream as much as possible between now and basically take us through the beginning of the school year, as most people are kind of around the world are going back to school around this time. So as always, we're going to see the chat come up over my shoulder as all of you start to participate. I am pushing out on all channels, including Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, X. So if you're on any of those, you're welcome to chat, and we're going to be able to see each other's chats across the screen. If you're new to my live streams, welcome. We usually like to start off with our global roll call, where you let me know what city, state, province you are joining me from. I like to do that because I want my streams to feel inclusive. I don't want anybody to feel like you have to be some sort of amazing data scientist to participate. So feel free to just introduce yourself by location. Just let me know where you are and where you're joining us from. You never know when you're going to meet other people in the community and whatnot. It's been really fun to see people start to make connections in the chat and help each other in the chat and say, hey, I'm from your same city, I'm from your same country, whatever the case may be. I love that community building. I love bringing us all together here. So feel free to join in. Let me know where you're at with your location. I'm going to start seeing it here in the chat. Faresk Dowry has already joined us, so thank you so much. But yeah, go ahead and keep on doing that. I'm getting feedback that it's lagging. Is anybody else getting a lagging on my video? But yeah, let me know. Give me some more feedback if it's lagging for anybody else. Lag tends to kind of help itself, as far as in letting the bandwidth catch up and all that. But today, while I give you guys some time to give the location, it's been a busy couple of days. As some of you know, I am doing a book launch right now. I've been working on a book for the last few weeks. You can see it over here up in this corner. I'm calling it your first year in data science. It is currently available on Amazon. It is available in paperback, ebook, and in audiobook. I tried to make the ebook as affordable as possible for most regions in the world. And basically, the book tries to address the difference between how you do data science in school and in academia versus how you do it in the real world. I have a lot of experience in both. I was a chief data scientist for a very long time. I've hired and trained many people over those years. So I thought I'd write a book on how to make that transition. So I hope you enjoy it. I've had a lot of fun writing it. It's been an interesting process to put an entire book together. But it is currently available. I finally finished out all the paperwork and all the process. I mean, look, I like to show people this, but I went through a variety of iterations of the book. These books over here, the ones with the special band, these are called author proofs, and these are basically variations where I was trying like different colors and different types of paper. Some of these are in black and white, some of these are in color. I decided to go with the color option for the charts and graphs. So I put a lot of work into the book as far as trying to make sure that I'm putting out a quality product for you guys, because if it has my name on it, I want to make sure it's a quality product for you. But yeah, it's been fun to put together. And like I said, you can find it on Amazon right now. I finished all the paperwork, and it's fully live and published. So thank you so much for your support. Okay, so Himsteak says not really lagging on YouTube at about 30 seconds behind here. Yeah, but I think that's a function of Instagram. I think Instagram has a longer delay than YouTube. YouTube, the delay is very short, but on Instagram, it's a much longer delay. I think Instagram, quite frankly, I think they're doing human validation on it, right? They have it's no secret that Meta has monitors for a lot of their content, including their live content. So I think that's part of the reason why it lags so much on Instagram. And I'm sure YouTube has the same, but I'm willing to bet they're probably a little bit more automated. All right, so we're getting some people already in the chat, already people coming in from both YouTube and from Instagram. I love seeing the variety and the different icons there. We have yet to have somebody participate from either Twitch or from LinkedIn. I've had participation from all the other ones. On Twitch, I get a little bit of spammers. And on LinkedIn, nobody seems to really watch streaming on LinkedIn. I guess people don't associate LinkedIn as streaming. All right, so Faresk Dowry says, hey, how are you today? Hey, thanks for asking. I appreciate when you guys ask that. I'm doing well, thank you. I'm like I said, I had a little bit of a long day yesterday. A lot of work yesterday, and I'll show you guys why I had a long day yesterday. I'm working on some other really interesting stuff. But yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. Just trying to stay cool in this heat. It is so hot out. I'm sure it's the same for many of you in your countries. But yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. Frank J. Decker is checking in from Chiang Mai, Thailand. Nice. So Chiang Mai is one of those. It's really popular for the nomad workers, right? Have you been out there long? Are you like a remote worker? Let us know about that, Frank. I'd love to hear more about that. Lots of people talking about Thailand. Delroy joining us from Queens, New York. Cool, very cool. I actually just moved back from New York. I spent 2 years in New York. I moved back in March, so previous to March, I was there for 2 years. Really enjoyed it. It's a big city. Got a little too crowded for me. I think maybe it's a little bit too many people, but glad you're well, Delroy. Thanks for checking in. Yanner says, I'm the one that asked you cybersecurity and data science combined role question. Yeah, so let me know what you mean on that. Like, is that something that you specialize in? That's something you want to do? Help me understand that question. And Ilaner also asks, anyone from Malaysia? Where's Jay Haynes? Yeah, sure, Jay. So this is the book. It's called The First Year in Data Science. If you search for that title, or you can also search DS with Dennis, which is my username across social media, you can find it that way. And like I said, I have all 3 versions available. I have a paperback, an audiobook, and an ebook available. Guys, I did the audiobook myself. I recorded it, because I have a whole studio set up here in my home. Recording an audiobook is not easy. Oh my gosh. That was so difficult. That was one of the hardest things I've ever done, to do my own audiobook. I think they say that you can read at 8,000 words a minute is what that's advertised. Like, anywhere from 8 to 10,000 words a minute is what you can read out loud. Wow, but it still took me a long time. But then you got to go back and edit it, and you got to, there's like the breathing noises and the popping noises. Oh my gosh. I sat here for like 4 days trying to do it, and I'm reading my own stuff. This is stuff that I wrote. But yeah, it's called Your First Year in Data Science. I've tried my best to put a quality product out there, so I appreciate your support. Let me know what you think of the book. But it is available now on Amazon. Ashish, my good friend, I've seen you in the chats before, so thank you so much for your continued support. Hi Dennis, nice to see you again. This is Ashish from Surat, Gujarat, India. Well, nice to see you. Hope you're staying cool. I imagine that India is very hot. I've always wanted to visit India. I'm gonna get out there one of these days. But yeah, I hope you're doing well, my friend. Faresk says it's way better on YouTube. Yeah, feel free to join me on YouTube, guys. I do a lot of content there. I'm also doing the Sunday classes on the Introduction to Statistical Learning book on Sundays. So feel free to follow me on YouTube so that you get all those notifications. I try to post things ahead of time so that you guys kind of see what's coming up. But yeah, lots of good stuff on YouTube, and it seems like maybe the lagging is a little better there on YouTube. So thanks so much for that feedback for us. So you know what? Let me just take a quick break from going across, from going down here. But go ahead and introducing yourselves. Let me open up another item here. I want to show you guys my Discord because I was talking about how I was busy with some things. So. Why is it not showing my Discord? That's interesting. Give me just a second, guys. I'm trying to figure out why my classroom monitor is not showing Discord. That is really odd. It's not even showing the right monitor. Okay, guys, sorry about that. I wanted to, but for some reason, it does. My OBS does not want to cooperate. Interesting. Give me just. I'm gonna try that just one more time. Nope, that does not want to cooperate. Okay, we'll have to come back to that another time. But I wanted to show you my Discord because on Discord, if you want to join that, we have already about 15 members on there. I am showing the early thumbnails for some of the content that I have coming up in August. So here's what I'm doing, and I think this is really cool. So as you guys know, I've worked in the industry for a very long time. So what I'm doing is I'm calling on my colleagues to come join me on streams. So in future streams, I'm going to have special guests that are going to come on, and they're going to, we as a group are going to be able to interview them. They're open to having your questions or whatnot. So far, I have a banking and audit executive lined up. I have a wealth management executive lined up, and I also have a data science and analytics executive lined up. One of them was too shy to do it as a live stream. They wanted to do it as a recording, and that's okay. So I did that recording yesterday. We recorded about 45 minutes worth of an interview. So that kept me really busy yesterday. But I have these really great items coming up, and I'm already working on the thumbnails and all the promo materials. So it's going to be a lot of really interesting streams coming up. I'm going to mix things up a little bit. Kind of add different angles or different views to the things that we're doing. So I hope that you guys will join for that. But yeah, I was wanting to show you guys those thumbnails, but for some reason my OBS is not cooperating, so I'll have to figure that out later. So Delroy says, cool, definitely crowded. Yeah, absolutely New York is crowded. The thing I didn't like was that in New York, it takes you just an hour to go out and get a cup of coffee because, there's so much traffic and so many people and, fewer locations than other cities. It believe it or not, guys, that wears down on you after a while. Forrest says, got across your page recently. HP. What's HP? I don't recognize the acronym. Maybe one of you guys will help me from that. Desquaje Ringao. Greetings from Chile. I watch your content, trying to learn more about DS. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you so much. Welcome. If this is your first time in the chat, please go ahead and introduce yourself. Don't feel like you have to, be advanced in data science. It's totally okay if you're a student or just data curious. But yeah, welcome so much from Chile. You're in the right place if you want to learn data science. Here's another question for you guys, and I'll open this question up to the chat if anybody wants to help me out here. But is there anybody else out there doing live data science streams? I really don't watch a lot of content. I really don't watch other people. So I'm curious about that. If there are other people that are doing live data science, I'm tempted to say that I'm the only one. Somebody else in my Discord, I believe, gave me the feedback that they didn't know of anybody either. So maybe you guys in the chat today can help me out with that. But I like to do the live streams. And then if you guys go to my YouTube, you can also see the live classes that I've done. Right now, we're going through the Introduction to Statistical Learning book. And quite frankly, I do that because it's boring for me to do pre-recorded data science instructional content. I can't imagine anything more boring than that. And I just don't do things that don't make me happy. So I'm never going to do that. But I'm more than happy to come on live streams and talk to you guys and host classes and I take all questions, right? You guys can ask me questions about anything. If I can help you, I will. And if I don't know the topic, I'll tell you, hey, I'm not informed on that topic. But I like doing the live streams because this is what I find interesting. And this is really the only way I want to teach. I don't want to sit here and keep on taping myself, typing up code and instructing content. That's boring. I have no interest in doing that. But thanks so much for joining. Okay, so Frank, sharing with us about Chiang Mai, Thailand, 9 years, working remotely. Family is here too. Good place to work on projects. Okay, very cool. 9 years is a long time. I'm sure you've seen a lot of people come and go in that time. It seems like people maybe attempt a life there, but it's not always easy to be a remote worker, a nomadic worker, and all that. But good for you. It sounds like you're making it work. So congratulations. Thanks for joining us, Frank. Good to see you. And by the way, Frank, if you want to give me feedback on this, because I am going to be streaming quite a bit for the next few months, I have thought about experimenting with different times. And I was thinking about doing something more towards my evening, which would be morning in Asia. Because I know that right now, this time is maybe not so convenient for most of Asia. I've tried to pick the best time that I can. But if you have feedback on that, I think it's fairly late in Asia right now. Right? I think it's approaching midnight in most parts of Asia. So if you want to give me some feedback on that, Frank, I'd appreciate it. Or anybody else that's in Asia, I'd appreciate that. A Yahoo too, or a Yahoo too, excuse me. Where can I get the ebook? The ebook is also available on Amazon. That's the most affordable edition. And I believe that it's affordable, in the majority of regions. If it's not, if you guys have some feedback on the pricing, vis-a-vis your local currency or whatnot, please let me know. I tried to do some research ahead of time to try to make sure that the pricing made sense. If you have better feedback for me, please let me know. I'm happy to consider it. But the ebook is also available on Amazon. Okay. Himsteak says the audiobook sounds good. The preview on Amazon at least. Oh, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate that feedback. Yeah, I'm fortunate that I do have a better than average setup at home. I made an investment to get a studio going inside my home, so I think that the audio quality helps. But the process of taping it and being like mentally ready and having all my recording software, oh my gosh, that was so hard. So yeah, I mean, I'll be happy to sell any copies of the audiobook just because it'll be a little bit of a redemption for that. But it was very nerve-wracking and just very difficult to do an audiobook. You read some, you take a break, and then you have to come back to it, and then you have to edit it right. And then on top of that, Amazon has very strict requirements on what the file has to sound like the different hertz and like audible ranges and all this technical stuff that I really don't know a lot about. So when you upload, it gives you feedback on the quality of the file and whether they accept it or not. So not only do you have to go through this entire process to record it and edit it, when you upload, there's this moment of anxiety where it's like, are they even going to accept the file to begin with? And sometimes they don't. So now you got to go back and change your settings, and it was tough. But thank you for that feedback. I hope you guys enjoy the audiobook. It was important for me to launch with an audiobook because I love audiobooks. It's the way that I learn best. There's a lot of research out there about, some people learn better by reading. Some people learn by reading and then taking notes. Some people learn better by listening. I'm somebody who does better by listening. If I listen to an audiobook, I can remember it 20 years later. I remember audiobooks that I read decades ago or that I heard decades ago. It's just the way that I learn best. So it was really important for me to have an audiobook out there. So I hope all of you enjoy that. Okay, so Ilana is giving us some more feedback. We had a conference, was very in cybersecurity research jobs, and my background in data science. So I was thinking if data scientists can work with cybersecurity teams at a high level. They can. It just depends about what part of cybersecurity, right? Because cybersecurity is a massive field, right? I mean, so what part are you talking about there? Most of the time that I've seen it used has been in threat detection, right? Where you can help kind of narrow down your potential threats or the impact of those threats, right? So that's kind of where I've seen it used the most. But, it can vary. It can vary based on the company you're working for, the industry you're working in. But yeah, I mean... Now, I also want to caveat that by saying that both of the professions, both of the fields require a lot of dedicated study, right? I mean, cybersecurity is a very serious field now, right? It's not just, deploying malware detection software, right? It's a lot more complex than that, right? So you kind of have to dedicate yourself to that. Just as I say, you have to have a passion for data science. You probably have to have a passion for cybersecurity too. It's not an easy topic. But great question, Ayana. Thank you so much for that. So Faris Cowdery says, was wondering what value would your book bring to us in the workplace? Yeah. So the whole point of the book is how do you go from an academic data scientist to being a data scientist professional, that's actually working for a company. So in the book, I cover things like team dynamics, right? You're going to have to get used to working within a team. I also cover things like stakeholder management. You're going to have to learn to work with stakeholders. You never really had to do that in academia, right? So look, think of it this way. Think of this on a high level, right? You have in your courses, if you're a student in data science, right? Even at a very good program, at a dedicated data science program, which you might not have available to you, right? Not every university or every country has a data science program. But let's say you're in a very good data science program, okay? The class is going to give you the model to use because you might be in a neural networks class or you might be in a regression methods class. Okay, the assignment is going to give you the idea for what to do as a project, and the professor gives you the data all nice and clean and ready to go, right? You're going to have those three things handed to you in basically everything you do in your course. That is the exact opposite of how you do it in the real world, right? Nobody's going to give you the project idea. The data is rarely clean and ready to go, and you won't know what model to use, right? So those are the types of things that I cover in my book, where how do you make that shift between a student to being in the workplace? Because, once you get a job as a data scientist, they're going to come to you for the ideas. They're going to say, okay, we just hired you. You're on this data science team. What do you have for us? What's your idea? Right? And you have to respond to that because now you're a working professional, no more student, right? So those are the types of things that I cover in my book that will help you in the workplace as far as, how do you make that shift? How do you make bring that new attitude into the workplace? So I invite you to, go to Amazon and get my book there. The link is in YouTube and also on Instagram in my stories. But it's available in paperback, ebook, and audiobook for you there. Ezra 8608. Ezra, let us know where you're from. I don't think I saw that. And if you're joining us late, feel free to let us know where you're from. Go ahead and introduce yourself just as a friendly thing. Hi, Dennis. Is Power BI enough to land a job as a data analyst, or are there other skills required? Power BI is a very good start. I would tell you that Power BI is a good tool, but you're still going to need some soft skills to go with that. So for example, I was just talking about how in school, the assignment gives you the project idea, right? So that falls under what I call the creativity required in data science. So Ezra, what you would need in your type of approach is you got the tools of Power BI, but what are you going to do with them, right? No one's going to direct you to what the dashboard should look like or what the insights are or how to do things. They're going to tell you, okay, well, go to it and let us know what you find. And now you have to respond, right? So I would encourage you, Ezra, to think about working on your creativity and how you're going to use the data. Like, what does it mean for you to have a table of transaction data? What else can you do with it, right? You're going to have to develop those thinking skills to be able to say, okay, well, I got this data. What's the best way to display this? Or we got these tables, but what's the insight that I can draw from them, right? Because your stakeholders they don't want you to just regurgitate the data and make it look pretty. They want insights, right? They want you to come back and say, here's 3 new dashboards that you can use. And by the way, we also found these 3 things that we think you'll find interesting, right? So that's what I would focus on. Power BI is great, but that's just a tool. Now, how are you going to use that tool, right? There's a difference between a wrench and a mechanic. You just told me you have the wrench, but now I'm asking, I'm encouraging you to become the mechanic and know how to use that tool. Okay, so I hope that helps, Ezra. That helps. See if that helps. All right, guys, I think I got my audio and my video back. Let me know. Give me some feedback there, guys. I think we're okay now. Everything looking good, guys? Sorry about that. My camera started acting up. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, we're back. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Because I've been doing so much work and I've been doing these classes, I've kind of redone my office. So I added this big old monitor and I've been redoing my USB. And I think in that process, my USB with my microphone and my camera got a little funny over the last couple days. But I think I unplugged the offending item. But yeah, okay, we'll just keep going here. Okay, so going down the list here, and again, if you guys want to introduce yourself, just let me know what city, state, province, country you're from. Love to hear from that. That way you can participate without having to ask any technical questions. You can just listen along. But Mohit says, hello, I'm working on a project where I'm basically trying to provide visual data to LLMs, like using image to prompt models that provides another input other than from user. I'm not sure I understand. Could you describe that use case again, please? Just break down the use case for me, okay? I'd appreciate that, and I'll try to help you as best I can. Link to Discord. You can find the link to the Discord on my Instagram in my social section. I have it there. I also have it as part of my stories. You'll find the link there. We're getting a few people there. I'm posting a couple things there. But yeah, hopefully you guys can join the Discord there. In fact, let me try that one more time. Yeah, gosh, that classroom camera does not want to cooperate. Ah, maybe that did it? Give me a second, guys. Okay, maybe that fixed it. All right, that fixed it. Okay, so Mohit asked about the Discord, and this is what the Discord is looking like right now, guys. So over here are the members that have joined so far. I just launched it yesterday, so the fact that there's even anybody joining is fantastic, right? But these are all my posts so far, and I have. Oh, it looks like Patrick also joined in, so thank you so much for that, Patrick. But I'm posting some of the thumbnails for the guests that I have coming up. So this is my friend Laura Sell. She is a wealth management executive that I work with for a few years. So she's going to be joining us on August 15th, I believe is what we've decided on. So she's willing to do a live stream and we'll be able to ask questions from a wealth management perspective. And this is my friend Kyle. He is a banking and audit executive. And I have him scheduled for August 1st, I believe, which is really just next Thursday. You know, it's just a week away is when I'm going to start these. But I'm already working on the thumbnails. I'm already working on the promo materials. So I'm going to have, people joining us, just to kind of mix things up and kind of give you guys an opportunity to also, just kind of hear a different voice and hear a different perspective. That's a very healthy thing as a data scientist, right? We should all be open to different perspectives. So these are the types of things I intend to post on the Discord. So if you'd like, please feel free to join. The link is in my Instagram. The Discord itself is called Data Science with Dennis, but I don't think it's searchable yet because I think Discord has rules on how big your server has to be before it's searchable. But you can try it if you'd like. But you can find the link in my Instagram. Okay. But thanks for the question there, Mohit. Rupak says, hello, I'm Andre from London, UK. I'm doing a master's in AI, currently working on my dissertation to create the new model, mix of CNN and transformers, take the strongest side of both models and put it in one. Okay, cool. Okay, I think I remember you, Andre. I think you asked me a question about how your study program was similar to your friend's program or something like that, right? Like you had another friend who was at another school or something like that. But yeah, your project sounds great. Excuse me, that's your dissertation. So creating the new model, mix of CNN and transformers, take the strongest side of both models and put it in one. Okay, I'm curious, what's the hardware requirements for something like that? Because anytime I hear transformers, I always think about something that's super like processing intensive, right? So let me know like where you headed with that. Like, are you trying to find a new way to process them, like a more lightweight way to process them, or what is the goal there? You got me curious with that, so let me know about that, Andre. M. Rovic says, hola from Indonesia. Well, hola to you too, my friend. It's always good to see people from Indonesia. I was in Bali last August, almost a year ago I was in Bali. Beautiful country. I really enjoyed Indonesia. Very nice people there. So thank you so much for joining. And by the way, guys, just like Rovic did here, feel free to just introduce where you're from. You're not required to ask a data science question. And if you're new to data science, that's okay. But, just feel free to introduce yourself. Okay, so Faresk is giving me good feedback here. I do follow a couple data science guys, but none of them live stream anything. They mainly post videos. Yeah, that's basically what I've gathered from that. Yeah, unfortunately, some of the stuff that I have come across are a lot of the faceless videos, which are probably created with AI, which means that the creators behind them probably aren't experts in the field. They're probably just, average people, right? But yeah, I think that there are reasons why a lot of those channels do the recorded things, but not necessarily the live streams. I think there's a lot of reasons behind that. And we can talk about that some other time, but yeah, thanks for that feedback for us, because that's basically what my sense of it is too. So if anybody else has feedback on that, let me know. But I'm trying to find if there are other live data science streamers. I don't think that's the case. Yep, so Mohit says for India, it's 8:47 p.m. Yeah, I think that this time is still relatively convenient for India. I realize that it's nighttime there. But yeah, it's the best time that I could find that still captures, Western Europe, all of the US, India, and kind of all lands in between, right? But for Asia, it's probably a little bit on the late side. Praveen Tiramani says, hello, sir. Hello to you too. Thank you for being here, Praveen. Good to see you. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name. I'm guessing that's Russian? Hello, Dennis. Do you have this audiobook in Apple Music? Yes, it will be available on iTunes. I think it's still going to take another day or two because, my distributor is actually Audible. So you can find it right now on audible.com. but they do spread it to iTunes and Apple Music. It just takes a couple days, maybe by the end of the week it'll be available on there. But it is available on Audible right now, and just a couple more days it will be available on iTunes and I think Google Music or Google Play, whatever it's called on Google. I personally use Audible, so I don't know the other services. But yeah, give it another day or two, maybe check Friday or something like that, and you should find it on Apple and Google. But thanks for the question. Fares says, actually, I'm on the path of becoming an economist. Okay. Well, there's a lot of economists that still use data science or modeling in some way, right? So yeah, so you're still in the right place, Fares. So thanks for being here. Himsteak says, I had my first interview ever yesterday. Hey, congratulations. Glad to hear it. It went great, and we mostly talked about my ability to work on a team, maybe one technical question, just as Dennis says. All right, well, good. I'm glad. Yeah, that's what you're describing. I think should be a fairly common approach that you're going to come across with interviewing, right? Because you are going to be expected to integrate yourself into a team. That's one of the things I cover in my book. I think it's actually the last chapter. It's called Team Dynamics, about how to manage yourself inside a team, right? So, for example, so Himsteak, I'll give you some background, and I think this background helps a lot of people that also are interviewing or thinking of interviewing, right? And again, you can read more about this in my book, Your First Year in Data Science. But just as an example, they're probably asking you that type of question because it's very rare when you're going to step into a new position and there's going to be a brand new project waiting for you, right? That's rarely the case. Most of the time, you're going to step into a project that's already in flight, or you're going to be expected to help out on the maintenance side, right? They're going to need your help maintaining their existing models. Very, very common for your first year. So a lot of that is going to be working with the team, right? Because they're going to mentor you, and two, you're going to have to learn their code base, right? Because it's not going to be your native code. Now you're going to have to learn the team's code base, and you're going to have to learn the team's way of writing code and publishing and reviews and things like that, right? So that's probably why you're going to run. That's why you run into that question. So it's going to be common in interviews, because they're going to need somebody who they can get along with, that they can work with, that somebody that can hit the ground running, right? So yeah, so I'm really glad to hear that you've had a positive experience with your interviews. That's fantastic. So I'm curious. Let us know what technical question they asked you. I'm curious, because you said it maybe just one or two technical questions, so they were probably good ones, right? So let me know what they asked you, Patrick. I'd be really interested in hearing that. But congratulations on the interview. This is really great, guys. I get pumped by that because we've had people who have landed interviews. We've had people who have landed internships. I've had people contact me privately telling me that my content helped them. So really happy to hear that. It's really great for us to cheer each other on. I want to encourage everyone to maintain a positive attitude when it comes to your job search and your interviews and things like that. I know it can be a tough process, but you got to be positive, right? Because that comes across. That's going to come across in your interviews. That's going to come across in the way you talk to people. If you're all down on the process, that's going to come across, and nobody wants to work with a Debbie Downer, right? So let's stay positive. I'm really happy for Himsteak. So congratulations on the interview. I hope that turns into more. And even if it doesn't, hey, you got some good practice in, and the next interview is right around the corner, right? So great job, guys. All right, let's keep going. We've had so many good people join in on Instagram and also people joining in on YouTube. I'm loving the mix of people that are coming in from multiple sources. So thanks so much for being here, guys. Ramcho PRX, did you tell us where you're from? I don't remember. Bachelors of Artificial Intelligence or Bachelors of Science, Computer Science. Please share your honest opinion, sir. I am gonna pursue, I assume, BAI. What is BAI? Is that bachelor or bachelor's in AI? So if these are your two choices, Well, let me take a step back. First of all, don't take advice from people on the internet. Choose what you want to do. Choose what is your passion. So my first reply to you is, what is your heart telling you as far as which one to pursue? That's really the true answer here, right? But if you're asking for my opinion, I would go after the bachelor's in artificial intelligence. When I was going through school and when I was looking at different programs, which was many years ago, many years ago, by the way, I would have never, ever chosen a bachelor's in computer science. And even now, when I do hiring, for my teams, or when I read resumes or stuff like that, computer science is still kind of a touchy subject. The problem with most computer science programs, and I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody, because I know some of you are in computer science programs, right? But the problem with computer science programs is that with the exception of like 2 or 3 schools, really globally, and they're all and as far as I know, they're all in the United States, with the exception of like 2 or 3 schools, they're all basically churning out the same graduates, right? Like every computer science program out there is essentially the same. You're going to take some math courses, you're going to take a course on data structures, you're going to build a compiler in your 3rd year, and you're going to learn Java. I basically just described every computer science degree out there, right? So I find that challenging from both a student perspective, where I don't want to look like everybody else, and then 2, from a hiring manager perspective, it's hard to choose somebody because it's basically like this. You're talking to the same person over and over again. Like everybody wants to tell you about how they wrote a compiler in their 3rd year, like because everybody did that as a capstone project and they're excited about it, right? So that's the challenge with computer science. So that's why I personally would never choose that, and I would go with the AI, right? But again, that's you. That's on you and what your heart is telling you. Maybe you really like computer science. You should go for it, right? But for me, that's just my view on it. Take it for what you will, okay? Okay, Praveen says, hello, sir. It might be simple, but I have some clarity about analytical and transaction data. I mean how they do achieve and how it works. I'm sorry, but I'm not seeing the question there. Praveen, could you try to or clarify that? I'm not sure I understand the question there. Sorry about that, my friend. Okay. I'm skipping down a couple in the chat because I got some feedback on my audio issues, so thank you so much for that. Maz ER says, do you think if a data scientist accepts a data analyst? Yeah, sure. Starting off as a data analyst is a very good way to get started as a data science career as a whole. I've helped data analysts get to data science. I've hired data analysts that have made that transition. It's going to require work on your part. It's going to require you to work more on your coding skills, right? And especially your modeling skills. But yeah, sure. It's totally reasonable for you to want to start off on a team as a data analyst or even a data engineer and say, hey, I'm going to start here. I'm going to take this position, but I want to, move up into a data science role. That's totally reasonable. It can absolutely be done. I am Marsh 84 says, what would your roadmap look like if you were to embark today on a journey of becoming proficient in data science from a novice? You know what? I have an entire video on this. It's one of the very first videos that I made. It's you can find it on my YouTube. It's called the Data Science Roadmap for Students. And what I did there was I looked at the different things that are available now, and I thought about how I became a data scientist, and I basically updated that roadmap for, kind of like the current state in 2024. So I lay out those items there, and I also provide a coding challenge in there. And by the way, I'm going to say this again, nobody has come back to me yet with that coding challenge. In the video, I promised to help people that come back to the coding challenge. Nobody has done it yet. I'm just saying. But yeah, go check out that video. It's one of my longest videos too. But I do kind of lay out everything that I would be doing if I wanted to, become a data scientist. But also very key is the very first thing I ask you to do is I ask you to read a book, Mastery by Robert Greene, because really the purpose of becoming a data scientist is to follow your passion, not just to, try to get a remote job or to get a high paying job or things like that, right? The whole point is to follow your passion. So maybe it's data science, maybe it's not. Either way, that's okay. But yeah, that's what I would encourage you to do. Visit that video. It just lays out what I would do, what I would study. And then on top of that, I recommend the Introduction to Statistical Learning book. I am doing an instructional series on that every Sunday. We just had our first session, and we're going to have another 7 sessions where we're going to cover each chapter. This last session went fantastic. People were participating, got some great answers. Some people in this chat were there. So I think Himsteak was there and a couple other people that I've seen in the chat today. But we had some great participation, great back and forth. So come join us for that. That can generally be appropriate for beginners. You might miss a couple things, but that's okay. You can always watch the replay. The replay's up on my YouTube also. But lots of resources for you to start with, Amarsh, okay? Ferez says, is there a way we can get some more personalized advice from you? Would be very much appreciated. That's a tough one, my friend. I do have phone call options, but those are mostly for my corporate clients. I do charge $300 an hour for that. The links are on my profile. But I've had people ask me to do resume reviews, and it's really hard for me to dedicate the time for that. I really don't do that. If you send me a message, I try to help you as much as I can, but even on my messages, I get a lot on a daily basis. So I try to keep up. That's actually part of the reasons why I started the Discord, because in the Discord, we can try to help each other as a community. So maybe if I'm not available, maybe somebody else has the answer that you're looking for, or maybe somebody else can tell you about a really good book they read or something along those lines, right? So that's kind of why I started the Discord, to kind of help us help each other, right? So you're welcome to attempt to mail me. It's very hard to kind of give my attention to that all the time. And like I said, I really don't do resume reviews or things like that. But I'll do my best if I can, or at least try to point you in the right direction. And like I said, I have the Discord up on the screen, and maybe we can help point each other in the right direction. So feel free to join the Discord. The link is on my Instagram. Post a question, and maybe somebody else can help you. Okay. Let me go back to my main screen. Noskid H says, what is the best way for me to get an internship in machine learning? The best way to get an internship is to do the work, right? Guys, when I'm sitting with somebody that I'm interviewing, you can tell within a few minutes, with their vocabulary, the way they talk, the way they carry, you can tell if they're a data scientist. Believe it or not, it's easy to tell when somebody's faking an interview. Like, I've done phone interviews, in-person interviews, Zoom interviews, and you can tell when somebody's looking on a screen or doing searches or even getting help via Skype or things like that, right? You can tell. But you can also tell when somebody's prepared because they've done the work, and that's really what helps you get the jobs and actually land the jobs, right? And the reason why I encourage this too, guys, is because you're focused on the interview, but I'm asking you to focus on the job. What happens if you get the interview and they hire you? You're expected to show up the next day and start to work, right? What then? You can't fake that, right? You can't crack that. You can't crack that project, right? So that's why I'm always concerned with people who always want to crack the interview or just pass the interview. Well, the interview is just the first part. What are you going to do when you're on the job, right? So the best way to pass the interview is to be a data scientist and to do the work of a data scientist, because then you'll be better prepared for the interview. You'll carry yourself better. You'll have an easier experience overall, and it just creates a better segue or a better transition for you to go from, okay, yeah, great, you did great in the interview. We want to hire you. Come work tomorrow, and be ready to start. Be ready to show us something. You're only going to be prepared for that if you've actually done the work, right? So that's my best advice to you. Best way to pass the internship and land an internship is to do the work of a data scientist, okay? So Mazzy R says, hey, Dennis, do you think a data scientist taking an analyst role after 4 years would affect their future career as a data scientist? Would you hire them for your team if they wanted to switch back? Yeah, I would. Yeah, I mean, I guess I would be curious about your motivations for doing that. Like, maybe you had to move to a different location, or like what was the motivation for that, right? I'd want to hear about that. As a hiring manager, that would make me curious. But if you presented like a reasonable rationale, yeah, sure. I mean, as long as you were still working with data, and kind of in that data-oriented mindset, I'm okay with that change. Yeah, I mean, if that is the situation that you're in, Maz, be prepared to, present a reasonable rationale for it, right? Because remember, a lot of science is about rationale, right? So me as the hiring manager, I'm also a scientist, so I'd be open to somebody telling me, hey, I did this. This is what you're going to find in my resume, but here's the reason why. Here's the background information to that. If you show me some reasonable rationale, that wouldn't prevent me from hiring you, or like want me tell you that I don't want to hire you for that. So yeah, so good luck with that. Feel free to add additional info there if you need to for that one. Okay, cool. So Himsteak is adding some information. This is coming back to his interview. So Himsteak told us about how he successfully landed an interview. So we're really happy for him. So congratulations again. As background, the role is AI ML engineer at a startup with 0 people on the AI team. Oh my gosh, that sounds fun. That's so much fun. They asked me about what type of data work I have experience with and like from engineer have experience with and like. Okay, cool. That sounds like a really good setup for you, my friend. I'm liking this setup for you. So look, I mean, I'm talking here with incomplete information, right? So I'm making some assumptions. But if I was in your position, Himsteak, I would say that your biggest challenge in that is going to be coming up with ideas, right? Because I love the startup, right? Because startup means that you're going to be like, go, 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 right? So I love those environments. And you're the only person on the team, so that means that everything is fair game, right? Every idea is valid, but you're also the ideas guy, right? There's nobody else to give you ideas. So that's going to be the challenge for you, my friend, where it's going to be a really cool, really like implementation heavy environment, as most startups tend to be. But now you're the ideas guy, right? So they're going to be looking to you and saying, yeah, so what do you think, right? So if you're going to do any follow-ups with them, or you're going to send a thank you or something, drop a couple ideas in there, right? Because that's what they're going to be lacking. Because not only are they lacking people, they're probably also lacking ideas, right? So that's what I would do. And in your follow-up, hit them with like 2 or 3 ideas that you have for their business, because that's going to be their biggest challenge and your biggest challenge. Because if you're the 0 guy, you're employee 1 on the AI team. You're also not going to be walking into like an agenda already. You're going to set the agenda. So that's fun, but it can also be a little bit of pressure for a job where you should always send a thank you for the interview, right? Always send a thank you follow-up. In your thank you, say you appreciate the interview, and by the way, here's 2, 3 ideas that I see for your business that I could help you with, because they don't have that right now, right? So that's what I would do if I was you. Good luck with that. I love the setup for you. It's a good setup for you, my friend. I'm USB says, hi, DS with Dennis. Hello. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you, USB. Do you actually go by USB? That's kind of a cool nickname. I like that. But yeah, good to see you. Thanks for joining in. Let us know where you're from. We'd like to make the chats inclusive for everybody to join in. Yeah, and by the way, if you guys are joining us late, I see people joining us late on Instagram, and a couple people on YouTube. So feel free to let me know where you're from. Just introduce your location. You don't have to ask a technical question. That's totally okay if you just want to listen in. Okay, so Andre says CNN excel at capturing local features but struggle with global. Okay. In contrast, transformers are effective at extracting global features. That is true. The aim of my work is to create a model that efficiently captures both key features from cancer cell images to improve classification accuracy. Okay. Okay, well, good for you. Yeah, I mean, that sounds like an interesting thesis paper. So good luck with that. Thanks for the clarification, Andre. I love hearing that. You know what I really like here too? I like the fact that we're getting a combination of people who are new to the industry versus people like Andre and Himstake that are a little further along. So I love the fact that we have this broad spectrum of people, and we can all kind of help each other learn, help each other by understanding each other's projects and what people are using out there. So thanks a lot for that, Andre. Really appreciate you sharing that with us, and good luck with your thesis. But thanks for hanging out with us. Okay, so Nisha Gowda. Nisha, I think I've seen you in our chats before, so welcome back. If I'm wrong on that, let me know, but I think you've been here before, so thank you so much. Interviewing in the real world, the expectation is so different. No one wants to say, hey, come and learn our products and organizations and be the analyst. That's where everyone has to start, I believe. Yeah, Nisha, it's a very common request to start as an analyst. And I cover that. I keep on pointing on the. I cover that in my book. As far as when you show up at your job, having to deal with those types of team dynamics, right? Because that's another change, that you'll be expected to work as part of a team. You're going to have your role, right? But here's another thing I'll share with you guys. Data science managers don't always know exactly who they're looking for. They might put out a data analyst role, but they're not going to turn you down if you have some modeling and data science skills, right? Or they might put out a data scientist position, but they're willing to accept somebody with a little bit less experience because they know that on the analytics side they're very swamped, right? So don't always assume that the hiring managers are very rigid in the roles that they have and who they're looking for. That's not always the case. Sometimes you just need more bodies. Data science teams are growing so fast nowadays. And some of them are so new, right? Some of the managers are new. Some of those managers might be the first time managing a whole team. I had experience managing teams because I came from a software background, a software engineering background, a consulting background. But a lot of the data science managers may not have that, right? So don't feel too rigid, too strict about what your first role has to be or what exactly you have to apply for. You should have some flexibility of thought there, because the hiring teams that you're applying for probably also have more flexibility than you think. Okay? But thank you so much for that feedback, Nisha. Really appreciate that. So Himstake says, they also wanted to know how I stay up to date with the latest data science and machine learning technology, specifically LLMs and the applications around. Well, I hope you mentioned my name in that conversation. I'd like to think that this helps people keep up also. It certainly helps me keep up because I love talking to all of you from all around the world. But yeah. But see, you know what? The fact that they asked you that feeds into what I just told you. They don't have ideas on what to do. And that's why they asked you that, because they want to make sure that you are the one that's going to come in with fresh ideas, right? So I'm willing to bet that's why they asked you that. So I really like this setup for you, Himstake. I think this is going to go well for you. Videos Games says, hi Dennis, how are you? Hope you are doing well. Can you tell us what makes a good resume? I really appreciate when people, start off their messages like that. When especially when you direct message me, I appreciate, you starting off in a polite way. So thank you so much, Video Games. I'm doing well, thank you. Can you tell us what makes a good resume? Yeah, sure. Very important question. So guys, write this down. And you know what? On the Discord, I might take the time to put in a sample, ideal resume that I have received and I have used in the past for most technical positions. So what I want, at the very top, give me your contact information. and make that section very small, right? Because if you have a good resume and I like you, I'll find a way to contact you. So don't worry about it having to be a big bold letters, right? Just very small. And the very next section down, I want you to give me your technical skills. Okay? Make it 3 columns and go across in the columns and use as many lines as you need. And just give it to me, right? Python, 3 years. HTML, 4 years. JavaScript, 2 years. Java, 0 years, because Java sucks, right? And just give me your technical skills right across, right? Just tell me what they are. Give that to me right after your contact information. And then below that, give me your project experience. Like, give me projects that you've worked on. You know, I did sentiment analysis with NLP. I did, a front end design for an API. Just give me the projects. And then below that, your work experience, and then below that, your education, and then below that, like your certifications, foreign languages, professional licenses, whatever, right? But for a resume, I just need to know if you're somebody I'm interested in talking to, right? So when you give me your technical skills and how you've applied those technicals right from the very top, that makes it a lot easier for me, and that makes it much more likely that I can just make a quick yes/no decision on you, right? So just to give you guys an idea of the scale, when I put out, I've worked for large companies, so you have to work with the HR department, and HR is the one who actually publishes out the advertisements, right? So HR typically would come back to me on the first pass. They're going to send me like 20 resumes, right? So you're going to be among 20 resumes where I'm just going to make quick decisions, yes, no, and I'm going to ask to interview like 5 to 6 of the people, right? Or if I'm at a like, you know how like they do those career fairs at universities, where they bring in a bunch of companies and the students kind of go around giving resumes. So I've worked the tables at those before. And the last time I did, I came home with like 120 resumes. Like, it was like a 3-hour event, and I collected 120 resumes in that time. It was like a huge stack of resumes. So again, just give it to me quick, right? Like I'm just making quick yes/no decisions on whether I'm going to call you, or ask HR to call you, right? So just give me who you are, what do you know technical wise, in your years, and what you did with them, right? Like 2 to 3 project examples. I can make a decision on whether to see you based on that, right? Because if you tell me that you're good technical, you've done some projects, I don't care where you went to school. I don't care who you work for. That doesn't matter at that point, right? You showed me that you know something, so yeah, I want to talk to you, right? So yeah, so that would be my advice to you, okay? So USB says, I am currently pursuing an MBA in business analytics. Want to dig deep into that? Do you have any suggestions as to what I must focus on? Yeah. So I have my data science roadmap for students. You can find it on my YouTube. It's one of my early videos, but if you search data science roadmap for students on my channel, you're going to find it. And I lay out exactly how I would study data science. My target audience for that is somebody like you who's still in school, or somebody who's still early in their career. Maybe you started in analytics, or maybe you started in software engineering or something like that, and you want to make a move. That's who that guide is intended for. So I think you'll find a lot of guidance there. Okay. No SC Kid says, what do you advise for people wanting an internship in machine learning but is about to graduate with little skills? The same advice I just gave to USB. Check out that roadmap that I have. Because I get this question a lot. I've received this question 100 times since starting this channel, at least 100 times. A lot of people in your position that want this. So feel free to check out that roadmap. Or also, as I mentioned earlier, you can come on Sundays. I'm hosting a class on the Introduction to Statistical Learning. Give me just a second here. It's a class on this book. This book is used a lot in undergraduate some undergraduate, but mostly graduate data science programs. It's an extremely popular book. Very good book. And to me, this is the type of book that prepares you for professional data science. So, we had a conversation earlier about the other people on YouTube and social media. Yeah, don't listen to that as far as tutorials. If you want to start as far as professional level data science, this is where we do it, right? And I'm doing this course. I'm doing the AI version. That's my edition. That's building upon the author's work. And I'm also showing you in that process how you do professional development, like what tools you use. So for example, when you get to the workforce, you're probably not going to be using notebooks as much as you think you are, and certainly not as much as you use them as a student, right? So I'm showing people how you actually do it. But this is a good book to start. I mean, to me, this should be in every professional data scientist library, right? I mean, if you don't have this in your library somewhere, you probably shouldn't call yourself a professional. But yeah, so this is where I think, these are the types of resources that I would be pursuing if I was in your position, okay? Rec12 says, hello, Dennis. What do you think about bioinformatics as a career degree option in the job market? I think it's a fantastic option. I'd love to be able to do more of that, to be frankly honest with you. I think it's fascinating. The closest I got is I did a contract for a local bio firm that specialized in women's health, and it was really interesting. I thought it was a really interesting company. But I think it's a great career path. I think there's a lot of really positive job prospects in that path. So if it's something that interests you and you have a passion for, I'd say go for it. I think there's a lot of opportunities there. So I think you're on the right track there, Beck. So Faraz says, as a recruiter, what are your thoughts on online data science courses, and how would you compare and contrast someone with a university degree and someone that learned online? It depends on where you learned online. Not every online school is the same. Some schools are okay. Some of them are actually, certified by their local entities and stuff like that, their local agencies. So it depends on where you studied online. But as far as university degree versus learning online, I'm not sure if it really makes a difference, to be honest with you. Again, if I'm looking at your resume and you're showing me that you have these skills and you've applied them in some way, I'm like, that's a really good start for me to at least want to interview you, right? Because really that's kind of the difference in the tech world, right? And in the data science world, where it's the hiring and the skills is a little bit more project oriented, right? As opposed to like education oriented. So I think that it's okay. Just be prepared to talk about, the way you've done things, and be prepared to actually put in the work, because it's not always easy to prepare for interviews, right? I mean, I've shared this before, but for me, I did a lot of work by myself before I was ready for my first data science interviews. And keep in mind, I was already an experienced professional. I had done a lot of software engineering, but I knew that I wasn't ready for the data science side. So I dedicated the time myself. Every Wednesday and Thursday, I would go to my coffee shop. I would sit there and I would work from 2 p.m., it was 2 p.m. until they kicked me out at night. And I would sit there and I would just do nothing but data science. And I would do my own studies. I would do my own models. I would publish my work. And just putting in the time. So make sure you put in the time to help you in that, right? Because the more you do that, the less and less those differences between university degree and this degree and that degree kind of become, because you're showing that you can do the work, right? You're showing that you actually are a data scientist, not just pretending to be one, right? So that's what I would tell you, Fraz. I hope that helps. So Praveen says, can you explain the key differences between transactional and analytical data in terms of their use and characteristics? Specifically, how do they contribute to daily operations versus strategic strategic data management? Is this a homework question? That's another thing we don't do. I don't do homework questions. I still get people who send me their homework questions in chat, and I definitely do not help with that. Can you explain the key difference between transactional and analytical data in terms of their uses and characteristics? Well, they're going to have the same uses and characteristics. The only difference is what industry we're talking about, right? So yeah, so you're asking a very industry dependent question, my friend. And also, this sounds suspiciously like a homework question, which I always discourage people from doing. But yeah, they're not going to have differences. Their differences is going to be what industry you're talking about, right? I mean, massive difference whether you're talking about transactional data from a B2B company versus a B2C company, right? So that's really the best answer I can give you. It just depends. Okay. Yeah. So by the way, guys, I'm still seeing people joining in on Instagram. If you're joining in, welcome. Feel free to let us know the city, state, province you're from, just to introduce yourself, just to make the chats inclusive. Same goes for YouTube. I'm still seeing some people on YouTube, and I'm going to do the best I can to get to all the questions. I'm loving the conversation, and yeah, so let's just keep going. No, sick kid. Is this a repeat question? I feel like you just had. Okay, you that's a repeat question. Okay. NBI Cram says, what is the best way to learn DevOps? I couldn't speak on that. DevOps is no longer my thing. I was in software engineering for a long time, but I haven't done it in a while. So DevOps is not my thing. I can't speak intelligently on this, so I don't want to give you an answer. I like to stay in my lane. Data science is my lane, not DevOps. Joseph Andrew says, thanks Dennis for making the Discord. Oh, well, you're welcome. Yeah, so Joseph here is referring to the Discord here. I just launched this yesterday. And, to be frankly honest with you guys, I had this Discord available for a long time. I just didn't launch it because I didn't think people would be interested in it. But, people kept on asking for it. And also it gives me a really convenient place for me to post my notes from the classes that I'm doing. So I might end up posting my notes on the Discord because it's really the best way I can think to distribute them. So feel free to join the Discord, post an introduction. If you need help, post something. Let's let the community kind of help each other. Obviously, I'll contribute as much as I can, and I'll try to post some things that I think are fun and interesting, kind of give you a different view on data science. But yeah, feel free to join. Help each other. Maybe you found a good resource, a good book or something like that. So the resource is there, and you can find some like-minded individuals to maybe kind of help you along in your journey. So I do have both free and paid options available. So feel free to join and just contribute, and maybe you just want to read along, because you're still kind of learning data science. You're just data curious. That's okay. But the Discord is there and available for you. Okay. Okay, I am USB. I think that's a repeat question also. Job markets, Rec 12. I think that's also a repeat question. Yeah, Naveen, I think yeah, hey guys, if I could please ask you to only ask the question one time. I know that sometimes I tend to give long answers on some of the questions, so it feels like I'm never going to get to your question. But I promise you that if you see it published on your end, whether you're on Instagram or YouTube, I promise you that it'll appear on my feed. I have this software that I've invested quite a bit to get running so that it shows it to me on my screen. It shows it up here. So please only ask a question one time, because otherwise it kind of feels spammy. But I promise that I will try to get to your question. It may take me a while, but you'll see your question up on the screen. And if you can see it up on the screen or in your platform, whether that's Instagram or YouTube or X, I promise you that it's on my end too, and I try to get to them, okay? Thanks, Dennis, for making the Discord, also reminding us to do the work of a data scientist. Just got the book, Doing Data Science. Yeah, Doing Data Science is a great book. It's one of the books in my library back here, and I think I even did a short on this. Yeah, Doing Data Science is a great book. I read it a long time ago, and that was one of the first books that got me thinking about methodology. And methodology is one of the items that I cover in my book, First Year in Data Science, where methodology is super important. And Doing Data Science is one of those first books that helped me with that. So Joseph, I think you're on a good path there with that book. Feel free to pick up mine. And Joseph, I think you were also there on our Sunday class, right? I think you were there for most of the Sunday class. I hope I got that right. But I think you're on the right track for learning, as far as learning data science at a high level. It sounds like you got some good books. Keep on coming back to the class. Because yeah, I mean, it's important to kind of do the work of a data scientist. I'm really big on that. I'm really big on all of you, focusing on, don't focus on passing the interview, focus on becoming a data scientist. If you can do that, then the interviews and everything else after that will come very, very easy, right? Also one of the chapters that I had a really interesting time writing, or rather one of the sections I wrote about in my book, was I also wrote a section on imposter syndrome, because I've done a lot of mentoring of younger workers, of workers new to the field, and I can't tell you how many times imposter syndrome comes up in our conversations. It's really been surprising to me, and one of the reasons I advocate for you to be doing the work of a data scientist, being consistent, is because that helps with imposter syndrome, right? The more prepared you feel walking into a job, you've reduced the probability of you ending up with something like imposter syndrome. You're going to feel so much more prepared, so much more confident, right? I estimate, and I've said this before, but I estimate that I did about 50 EDA exercises before I even did one data scientist interview. I would do the EDAs, and some of those I would turn into models, and some of those I would publish. It just became like this big funnel. But I would sit there and I would just do EDAs over and over again, finding all types of raw data and transformations and categorical data and scalar data, just pulling data from everywhere. And again, that was me putting in the time. Nobody was paying me for that. That was on my own. But think about that. Now, it made my first day on the job 10 times easier, right? Because now I'm walking in saying, oh yeah, send me whatever data you got. I got this. I know what I'm doing, right? Compare that versus somebody who just, did some quick research and found some crappy little PDF on LinkedIn about hacking the data scientist interview. How are you going to feel on your first day? You're going to feel like crap, right? You're going to feel like, oh my God, what am I doing here? And guess what? That's how you end up with imposter syndrome, right? So that's one of the reasons why I also advocate for that. Just get out there, do the work, be a data scientist, right? Nobody has to anoint you a data scientist. You can do it yourself. But thank you, Joseph. Thank you for that feedback. And like I said, my friend, I think you're on the right track. You got some good books. Keep on coming back to the classes. I love seeing you there. The Dads checking in from London, England. Welcome. Great way to introduce yourself. I love that people are doing that, so feel free to follow the Dad's example here and just introduce yourself. Just let us know where you're from. Again, you don't have to, ask some amazing question. I try to make, these streams inclusive. So welcome, Dads. Andres Dos Reyes says, is Hands-On ML by Aurelian Garon, the one with the lizard, still the best book for ML? I don't know. I haven't read that book, so I really can't speak about it. For me, my best experience for machine learning was a book called Building a Neural Network by Tariq Rashid. And I might do a tutorial on that book because I really enjoyed that book. That book really moved me forward. I believe that's what it's called. Yeah. Maybe I'll do a quick little thing on Instagram for it. But to me, that was my best machine learning book. And the reason I like that is because, coming back to my earlier point about doing the work of a data scientist, is that was a really good book to establish a foundation. But then I took that and did work on my own to build my skills, right? So what I tell people, and what I might end up doing the tutorial on, is Tariq Rashid's book shows you how to do neural networks using math and not using any frameworks. Still using Python, but purely math. And that's a really effective way to learn. So what I did was I went through his book did all the Python coding portions of it. And then you start all over and you go back and do the entire book using a neural networks framework. And I use Keras. I happen to like Keras a lot. I'm actually a moderator on their mailing list because I like Keras a lot. So I'm friends with the founder, and he made me one of the moderators. But I like Keras. You can certainly choose something else. If you want, you can choose PyTorch, but PyTorch is for people that come from broken homes and don't know any better. That's the way I learn machine learning and kind of deep learning and all that. So I'm just throwing it out there. But as far as this particular book, I haven't read it, so I really can't comment on it. But if it helps you, then it helps you. The Dead says, I am into database engineering and want to move into data science. Okay, that's a perfectly reasonable move. Just, work on your modeling skills, right? The difference between most data engineers and data scientists is modeling skills, right? So yeah, but that sounds like a perfectly reasonable career path to follow. Mamoon Araxa says, hello, Dennis. Well, hello, Mamoon. Nice to see you. Hope you're well. Hope you're staying cool in your parts of the world. Andres has a repeat question there. Fares says, please put this ideal resume template on Discord. Yeah, I might do that. I might do that sometime. But again, just do it as I described. Just your contact information, your technical skills, and your projects. That's it. Everything else below that, I may not even read, to be frankly honest with you. Right? Just give me a way to make a binary yes/no decision, because that's all it is, right? I'm not gonna hire you from a resume. I just want to know if I want to talk to you for an interview, right? So just give me enough to make a binary yes/no decision, right? Don't make it more complex than that, okay? Jayant Kolapkar says, how's it going, Dennis? I wanted to ask for a college student who wants a career in data science, what are some good achievements should they aim for in their resume? Kaggle competitions? Kaggle's not bad. But also, you can come up with your own items, right? The challenge with Kaggle is similar to the challenge I said with your academic courses, that the Kaggle competitions are fairly well defined, right? They give you the data, they give you the problem statement. They don't always give you the model, so I recognize that, right? But it's very structured, right? So show something that's not structured. Or another thing I've also said before is that I don't really check people's GitHub. Like if you have a GitHub on your resume, I'm okay. I mean, I'm unlikely to check it. But if you tell me you posted an article on LinkedIn, I'm gonna check that, right? So post an article, post your own articles. LinkedIn has a good article function. X has a very good article function now that's very improved recently. Medium, you can publish something on Medium. Just put something out there, that I can read, And what I'm really looking for there is show me the problem statement, show me how you went about collecting the data and the observations, what model you use and how you built that model, what did it tell you, what did the model tell you, and then how do you interpret those model results, right? If you can show me those items, like in a reasonable way, like that somebody can read through them and understand them, then that's super valuable, right? Like I would read that all day if you send that to me in a resume. Like I'm 10 times more likely to check that than I am to check a GitHub, right? So, and then also what I just described, coming back to one of the previous questions somebody asked, if you show me that you did that, then great. I don't care if you're a freshman. I don't care if you went to an online school versus a top university or whatever, right? I can't remember who asked that before, but we had that earlier in the chat. I think it was Fares, right? So if you can show me that you did that in a reasonable way, then that greatly increases the probability of me wanting to interview you. And it doesn't matter like where you went to school or how you studied, right? You showed me that you know something. So that's good, right? So keep that in mind, right? That you got to show me something. And if you do that, that helps a lot of these questions of, different, let's just say, shortcomings that you might feel you have in your resume. All right. So thanks for being here, Jayant. Andres says, where are you reading the comments from? So Andres, if you are watching me on Instagram, as the little icon indicates, you might only be seeing my narrow view, the vertical view. But if you're on desktop, you can see that I have the chats all next to me over my shoulder here. So I have my chats next to me, and I have my book for your first year in data science on the other shoulder. But that's where I'm picking up the chat from. Now, I don't read the chat from the screen. I use a broadcasting software, OBS, a streaming software. And then within OBS, I have a window that shows me the chats in a much bigger way that makes it easier for me to read. And then I can also highlight different ones to bring up on the screen. So that's how I'm also controlling that. But Andre, that's how I'm doing that. One day I might take a big picture and walk you guys through my battle station, because it's actually quite nice now. I have multiple monitors and things like that. I have lights. I have studio lights I built out in my house. But that's where I'm reading it from, Andres. Thanks for the question. Narendra Kumar says, hi. Well, hello, Narendra. Good to see you. Andres writes a duplicate question. Yeah, guys, if you post on Instagram, please don't post it on YouTube also. I promise I'll get to your questions. I know I can be a little slow, but I promise that, okay? Ashish writes a great question. Could you share a broad classification of the data science problems you have encountered in your career? I am interested in knowing if the nature of problems have significantly changed. That is a really good question. I guess I'm gonna think about this in terms of the different portions that you're asking. Have the classifications of data science problems changed? And they haven't, right? You're going to predict something, you're going to infer something, or you're going to classify something, right? Those are still kind of like the three meta classifications of problems, right? I think what you really should be focusing on is that it's not so much that the classifications have changed, it's also that the business expectations have changed. And it's more about making sure that you are meeting the business needs. And I also say that because the public, the general public, your stakeholders, their general knowledge of algorithms is also increased, right? You're going to have smarter stakeholders that now know more, and they're going to expect more from you, right? So that's really kind of like the biggest change that you need to keep up with, to be able to understand their needs, their business needs, and how you're going to respond to them, and how you're going to respond to them vis-a-vis their elevated expectations of you, right? So what do I mean by that? Well, on a general level, that somebody could tell you, well, why don't we have a ChatGPT? Why don't we have a tool just like ChatGPT? Why can't you just take our documents and create ChatGPT for us? Well, because there's a lot of work that went into that, right? I have a whole video on this where, if you look at something like ChatGPT or, Claude or any of the other tools, it's easy to say, oh, well, why can't we have this? Well, you're seeing the end state of what took like years and years and human validation and multiple training cycles to develop, right? Not to mention the document collection and all that, right? But your users don't know that, right? Your users really don't care about that, right? For them, they just want the tool. So why, they have it, why can't we have it, right? So it's more about keeping up with those expectations and those requirements from the business. So that's really kind of a sheesh where I would encourage you to kind of shift your thinking, where the fundamental problems are the same. You're still going to be using the same tools, right? I mean, generative AI is still just neural networks underneath the hood, right? It's a very advanced, very sophisticated application of neural networks, but that's all it is. It's still neural networks, right? It's still deep learning. So that hasn't changed. It's more about the expectations from the business. And, also, just to kind of leave you guys with a note, because I'm going to wrap up the stream here. I also bring that up because this also ties back to some of the other content you might see online and all that. As some of you know, I don't always emphasize the need for math in data science. I think you're just fine having a general understanding of math and then using libraries or other tools out there, right? You're going to be writing very, very, very little, if any, native math in your model, in your code, right? And the reason I say that is because nobody's paying you to do math formulas, guys. Take all of that content that you see out there with the math formula and throw that away. Nobody's paying you for that. They're paying you for business solutions, right? They're paying for you to say, hey, we saw your sales data. We can take your sales data and this is the model we created and we think your sales are going to go up by 10% this year if you let us work with you. They don't care the how and the why and what language you're using and the servers. They just want the result, right? So that's what I would encourage you to keep up with more, Ashish, about keep up with the business side of it, the demands that the business is going to have, because that's ultimately where, basically everyone in the chat is going to end up, right? Most of you are going to end up working in some sort of corporate or enterprise level environment where you will be measured on your business impact, not your math formulas, right? Not how many like linear algebra calculations you're able to do in your model or whatever, right? So that's what I would encourage you, Ashish, to kind of keep up with that. Okay. All right, guys. So I'm going to wrap up the stream there. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate the time that we spent together. I'm going to be streaming every day. So if I didn't get to your question today, I apologize, but come back tomorrow. Also join me on Sundays for the Introduction to Statistical Learning book. We're going to be doing that for the next 7 Sundays. But I appreciate your time. I appreciate your support if you're able to purchase a copy of your first year of data science. But until tomorrow, please take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and I'll see you next time.